Hey everybody, Jake here and welcome to the hobby. I recently asked you guys to give me some of your favorite Pokemon cards that you think are currently underrated, and boy, do you guys give me a lot to think about. Some of you guys picked some really cool cards that no one ever talks about, and some of you guys, I'm not sure if you know what the word underrated even means. So it's certainly a fun list. I picked some random cards, so let's see what you guys have to talk about. First up, we have Shoof's Playlist, who says XY Nobunaga's Rayquaza, shiny, Japanese exclusive, and has one of the coolest looking artwork in my opinion. That is a cool card to pick. I don't think it was XY when it was released though. I think it was black and white that it was a promo in, because it has a black and white holo pattern. I'm pretty confident in that. This is a really unique card. It came out with a Nintendo DS Japanese exclusive game related to the Sengoku Jidai period, which I think is pretty unique if you know anything about that. They paired up Pokemon with some Shogun from like 400 years ago in a tactics Japanese battle game, which is really out there. What an interesting collaboration. I think the whole entire game was created by the Pokemon Company, because it has the Pokemon Company logo on the actual case for the game. Overall, the Rayquaza card is actually pretty cool. It is a shiny Rayquaza. It actually has Nobunaga's background or shadow in the back of behind Rayquaza, which I think is pretty neat. If you know who Nobunaga is, then that is kind of a cool design. What an interesting collab. You would never expect to see those two on a card. Overall, I think it is a super cool card. Underrated, yes, no one ever talks about it, so that's for sure. Rayquaza is a very popular Pokemon to collect. If you're a Rayquaza collector and you didn't know this card existed, it might be something you want to pick up inside of your collection. It is a nice conversation piece. So that's what I like about a lot of Pokemon cards, especially the ones with a unique background or unique story, because it's something I can discuss about or enthuse other people about. And this one, A+ on the story, really cool artwork. Black and white, honestly, does not get enough love, so glad you brought this one up. No one ever really talks about it, so that's pretty cool. Next up, we have Pokemon Trainer Lucky, who says the Braixen and Charizard tag team card is severely underrated. I love Braixen and Charizard. The card is my favorite Charizard card. It's amazing. So you didn't mention which one of the tag team Charizard and Braixen card is your favorite, because there's a bunch of different versions. There's the regular version, the full art, hyper rare, and alternative art version. And I'm gonna be really brutally honest with you, Lucky. I think the regular ultra rare Charizard and Braixen card is a travesty. I hate the artwork, which I know is blasphemous because it's drawn by Masahiro Arita. So he's a brilliant artist, but I think he really missed the mark on this card. I don't know what's up with the card, but it just doesn't look right to me. I feel like Braixen's tail looks like Braixen's butt, and Braixen's butt is taking up way too much of the picture. It just doesn't look right to me. It's an interesting kind of art style. It's certainly an interesting angle, but the card I just don't like. I prefer the full art version. The alternative art version, it doesn't really speak much to me either. I can totally understand it if it's your favorite card. If you're a huge Braixen fan, Braixen doesn't get enough love, so I can see why you would enjoy the card. It's also kind of interesting because Charizard already has a Tag Team GX card. There's Tag Team Charizard and Reshiram, so it's kind of interesting that Charizard is on another tag team. Kind of weird. Charizard just gets too much love, honestly. Overall, I can see why you might enjoy this card. For me, the regular ultra rare is kind of a turn off. I don't like the artwork too much. It's not very appealing to me personally. Next one up, we have Moonhead, who says, this one's going right under the radar and isn't even a popular Pokemon, but Milotic V Full Art from Rebel Clash is absolutely stunning in hand. I don't even like the Pokemon, but holding this card made me go, Jesus Christ, this is a beautiful looking card. I'm going to disagree with you that Milotic is not a popular Pokemon. I think Milotic has a lot of fans. I actually know some people who are hardcore Milotic Pokemon card collectors. They collect all of the Milotic cards. So there are people that do that, and there are some really gorgeous Milotic cards. In fact, all of the Milotic cards I think all look really brilliant. But I do agree with you that the full art Pokemon V cards from the Sword and Shield era are all like intensely gorgeous cards. I don't know what they did with the full art cards for Sword and Shield, but they really knocked it out the park. Every single full art card is really unique, really vibrant, and have some really brilliant design in terms of the color spread. They're all really vibrant. I think this is an interesting area. The full art Pokemon card community is certainly growing. A lot of people are starting to collect specifically the full art card. They're a little bit more rare than the ultra rare cards, which aren't that rare in all honesty. So yeah, I do think that there is a lot of potential in the full art cards. It's just too new of an area, especially for Sword and Shield, right? Sword and Shield's only been around for like a year, so it's gonna take a little bit more time to see where this area really goes. But I do think there's a lot of potential in the full art cards because they are gorgeous, but it's gonna come down to taste. So it just really goes down to see if they take off or not. Next up, we have Rob, who says, people love the original Tops and Topsun Pokemon cards, but they don't get talked about much. So yeah, the Tops and the Topsun cards are certainly interesting. I don't know if they're super underrated. A Charizard PSA 10 Topsun card was just recently sold at an auction for $480,000, a ridiculous price point, making it one, if not the most expensive Pokemon card of all time, like really, really up there. Very expensive Pokemon card from a legitimate auction. So certainly the Topsun cards are getting some love. The Tops card, a little bit less. The Topsun cards are all original artwork. I think a lot of the Tops cards are just pictures straight from the anime, so they're not as popular. But in general, they fall in a very niche category because they are Pokemon cards, and at the same time, they're not Pokemon cards. So you gotta be a unique collector to collect them, but there are people that are die-hard into them because they want the most vintage cards ever. And the Topsun cards actually predates even the earliest official Pokemon cards, so that's why they're sort of like super first edition, if you can consider it like that. I do think there's potential in them. They've been growing rapidly. Lots of them are really popular. Some of the other Topsun cards are still very cheap. So outside of Charizard, Pikachu is really popular, that's for sure. In general, if you want to collect the Topsun set, that's something you can actually do. There are plenty of affordable Topsun cards. The Tops cards, a little bit less so. They're just, you know, pictures from the anime, so that makes it a little bit less interesting to me that they're not original artwork. Next up, we have Calum, who says, the Prism Star cards are gorgeous, massively underrated. See, I've thought about the Prism Star cards a lot as well because they're actually a recent addition to the Pokemon card collecting community. They're sort of a new gimmick. They pretty much passed, but they're still very new, right? In general, I do think there's potential in the Prism cards. They're not super hard pulls. I pulled plenty of Prism cards in the past, so I have most of them actually. There are a couple that I think have potential. I think the Arceus Prism Star card and the Jirachi Prism Star card are probably going to be like the most popular of the bunch. They're both really gorgeous and popular Pokemon. There's also the Ditto Prism Star, but Ditto's expensive because Ditto's just really good in the trading card game. I don't know how popular the Ditto Prism Star card is going to be when it's outside of the actual standard card game. So in general, I think Prism Stars are in kind of an interesting spot. The interesting spot is that there are not a lot of popular Pokemon in the Prism Star set. You know, you don't have a Charizard Prism Star, you don't have a Pikachu Prism Star, you don't have a Lugia or a Rayquaza Prism Star. There are a lot of like middle of the road and a couple of slightly popular Pokemon in the set, but in general, Prism Stars are kind of weird. I don't know how rare they are. I think some of these Prism Star cards, you can see like 100 listings of them, so they're not that rare. But I do think there's potential. Where could they go in 20 years? Who really knows? If, you know, if Gold Star cards are any indicator, then maybe Prism Stars one day would become super hot. Gold Star for the longest time no one really cared about until people start recognizing how rare they were, and then they suddenly became like the hottest thing in Pokemon card collecting. Prism Star could head that way. I'm not gonna be able to predict the future, but could there be a point in 20 years where Prism Star cards are like the biggest fad and everyone loves to collect them? There's a possibility. Less so because there's not a lot of popular Pokemon in the set, but I do think there is a potential there. They're super cheap, so it's not a hard set to collect. If you want to collect all of the Prism Star cards, you could probably do it for under $100. So it's a very affordable set. That's something that I would say is a huge plus for it right now, is that it's super affordable. Next up, we have Amanda, who says, the Charmander card from Dragon Majesty. The best Charmander artwork I've seen. I picked up this card in the reverse to get graded just because I love it. I've seen this Charmander artwork a couple of times before, just from pack opening Dragon Majesty, and it is a really gorgeous artwork. I'm just speaking off the top of my head, but I think it's the Charmander where it's got like a leaf over its head, kind of adorable, kind of looks like something right out of like Studio Ghibli. So I can see why you like the artwork. In general, I think Dragon Majesty as a whole is extremely underrated. It's sort of like the weird stepchild of all of the special sets, because everyone talks about Shining Legends, Generations, Hidden Fates, but no one ever really talks about Dragon Majesty, and it's like right smack dab in the middle of all of these sets, but it's not as popular as the other ones. There's some really cool Pokemon in the set, I think, and it's certainly growing in popularity. The prices for sealed Dragon Majesty products have gone through the roof. If you can find any Dragon Majesty products at a reasonable price, it could be an extremely good pickup because it's so rare. Even though the set isn't very popular right now, the fact that it's super, super rare might be something that is going to catch on fire pretty soon, because there's so little sealed Dragon Majesty products out there. I've opened up plenty of Shining Legends, Generations, Hidden Fates, but I very rarely ever open up Dragon Majesty, and that's mainly because of how rare the set is. It wasn't very popular, but the fact that it's rare might be able to counteract the lack of popularity. When something is rare enough, that's enough to sort of create popularity artificially. So I think Dragon Majesty as a whole, plenty of room for growth in that set. And yeah, for sure, the Charmander is super gorgeous, and I do agree with you that there are some really cool cards in Dragon Majesty in general that are just overlooked right now. Next up, we have Neji, who says the Lenticular Deoxys is the only card of its type to be printed as a 3D regular Pokemon card. There's no reason it should be under $100 given its age and its uniqueness. So yeah, that is an interesting pick. I never hear people talk about this card. I do know a little bit about it because I really like the Deoxys and Rayquaza movie from, I think it was 2004 or 2005 when it came out. And this card was a Japanese exclusive card. And I think what you mean is that depending on which angle you're looking at the card, it actually shows a different Deoxys style, right? Because Deoxys can transform itself into different forms. There was like an attack form, a defensive form, and like normal swift form. So depending on which angle you look at this Deoxys card, you'll actually see it in a different form. And you're right, this is the only card of its type, which is really cool. Deoxys tends to fall under the radar. Rayquaza came out in the exact same movie as Deoxys, I think. And the movie was Deoxys themed, but Rayquaza completely stole the show. I think people just enjoy Rayquaza more than Deoxys. But in general, I think this card is really cool. I don't know if I've ever seen a PSA graded one. I'm not sure if PSA can grade it because it is kind of a weirdly texturized card, so it might be difficult for them to grade it. It is super rare, and it is a nice talking piece. If you would like to have something cool inside of your collection that people didn't even know existed, this is definitely one of those. I would say I totally agree. It is flying well under the radar, but it's such a unique card. You have to be a really specialized collector to really desire this card. But the fact that it's so unique might be something that makes it worthwhile for you to have inside of your collection. Next up, we have Darina, who says, Illustrator Charizard is extremely underrated. Right now, it's only 20 bucks. Anyone can get one without breaking the bank. That is absolutely true. The Japanese Pokemon company printed the Illustrator Charizard card into the ground. There's probably well over 1 million copies of it floating around the whole entire globe. It is a very, very popular card. So I'm not sure if I would say it's super underrated. It's in the right spot. It's a very heavily available card. And it's at the same time, it's a Charizard card. So there's some contradicting forces right now. I think $20 is a sweet spot for the card right now. It's only been out for a couple of months in all honesty. But here's the interesting thing. We had a vote on our community portfolio for what promo cards from 2020 did the community want to add to the portfolio. And Illustrator Charizard won the vote, but some other cards that were on the vote included Special Delivery Pikachu and Kanazawa Pikachu. Boy, am I disappointed we didn't pick Special Delivery Pikachu or Kanazawa Pikachu, because those cards have really skyrocketed in price. I think this was one of the interesting scenarios when the community was slightly wrong. I think they're right in picking Charizard because Illustrator Charizard, it's super popular. The issue of it was that at the time we didn't recognize how much supply there was going to be of this card. So this is an interesting card that I would definitely keep my eyes on for the next couple of years, because it's going to be an interesting experiment. This is going to be two contradicting forces, right? The immovable object with the unstoppable force. We have two very interesting forces at play right here. We have one which is incredibly high supply of the Illustrator Charizard, and on the other hand we have incredibly high demand for the Illustrator Charizard. So which one will win out? In most cases the demand will win out eventually, but who knows how long that's going to take. So it's certainly going to be interesting. I'm going to be watching this card price for the next couple of years. It might flatline for 3 years straight and then suddenly skyrocket when supply runs out. We really don't know. That is my prediction, is that it's going to stay 20 bucks for pretty much the longest time until everyone forgets about it. And then one day you can't find them anymore and it's going to skyrocket in price. But who knows how long that's going to take. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting card to look out for. Not sure if it's super underrated, but definitely an affordable card if you want something kind of unique inside of your collection. Next up, we have Nick, who says, Swallowed Up Pikachu, best Pikachu promo all time, and only available from the Coco movie box. Could be skyrocketing. Nick, I don't know if you know what the word underrated means. The card is going for, I think, close to $300 right now. And it's a promo card that came out in December 2020. So it's only been a month or two and the cards already reached $300. I don't know if that means it's underrated at all. I think that means the exact opposite. Overall, this card is definitely a super cool card. I have a copy or two of it inside of my collection. But is it worth $300? I'm going to argue and say no, it's not. It's just too much for such a unique card. But at the same time, I haven't seen the Coco movie. I feel like the popularity of this card has got to be dependent on how good Coco the movie is. And it's not released in English yet. I haven't seen it. Overall, I think it might turn out well. And I'm not convinced that this card is not coming to English. It's totally possible that an English version of the Gobbled Up or Swallowed Up Pikachu will come to English with the release of Coco in English. It might be a promo that you can pick up when you go to the English movie theater, or it might be a promo that's available in the DVD. They've done either of those before. So I'm not convinced that this card is not coming to English just yet. It might still come to English, but overall I think it is a cool card. I don't know if it's super underrated at $300. It's way too expensive. And a big reason for why it's so expensive is because it's actually pretty rare. They didn't print that many of the Coco boxes. So this card is certainly going to be one that's going to be hard to find. There's some risk and reward to it. If it doesn't come to English, I expect this card's price to continue to climb. But it's a risky card. I would not be picking it up for $300 right now because it's going to be like a hot potato. As soon as that card comes out in English, if it does come out to English, prices might drop significantly. So there's some serious risk involved. Next up, we have Bede, who says Alakazam EX Secret Rare from Fates Collide is underrated. That is definitely a cool card. I'm going to agree with you. I don't like a lot of the EX era Pokemon cards, but I do like this one, and I do like a lot of the other secret rare cards from the EX era. And what I enjoy about them is that they had multiple Pokemon on the same card, so why not? I love having multiple Pokemon on the same card. The Alakazam is extra unique because usually with the full art cards, they tend to have similar Pokemon on the same card, right? So 3 water type, 3 fire type. The Alakazam is kind of weird. If I remember correctly, it has Umbreon in the card and Lugia in the card. 2 Pokemon that have nothing in common with Alakazam at all. So I don't know why these 3 are on the same card, but I do think it's a cool card. The fact that it has Umbreon and Lugia in the card is definitely very cool. I think if you wanted to collect anything from the EX era or the XY era Pokemon cards, then I think the full art secret rares are definitely the ones that you want to go after. The Gyarados is super cool. The Alakazam is really cool. And there's a ton of other really cool ones like Mewtwo as well. So they all have multiple Pokemon inside of their artwork and they all look pretty unique. It could be a fun set if that's something you're into. Overall, cool card, 3 Pokemon. You can't go wrong with that. Next up, we have Stay Dre, who says the Espeon and Deoxys, as well as the Umbreon and Darkrai promos are so underrated. I don't think they should be worth crazy money, but no one ever talks about them, and the art is beautiful. Definitely one of my favorites. I agree with you that the artwork is really gorgeous. The Deoxys and Espeon, as well as the Umbreon and Darkrai, both of the artwork look really, really cool. I'm not too sure why they haven't caught on fire yet. Overall, I think they might. All of the Tag Team GX era Pokemon cards have been really starting to rise in popularity, and these 2 cards have pretty much stayed the same price for the whole entire year. But one of the reasons might be because the Pokemon Company printed quite a few of the Espeon and Umbreon Tag Team GX collection boxes. They printed quite a few of those. They have been pretty much consumed, but it might take some time for the promo single card market to catch up. I think these have a lot of potential in them, and a big reason for that is that this year specifically, there is rumors that there's going to be an Evolution themed deck or themed set coming out later this year. A whole entire set of Pokemon cards that is surrounded by Eevee and all of Eevee's evolutions. So I think that's going to be an interesting set if it does happen. It's rumors, we're not confirmed yet, but I think that's something that could happen. And when it does happen, I think these cards are only going to become more popular. Eevee is a very popular Pokemon to collect. All of the evolutions are popular to collect. The fact that these have Umbreon and Espeon on them, I think that's really cool. They have a lot of potential for growth overall. I just don't know how much supply of these cards are out there, but overall I think you're going to see some slow climbs in these prices if there's no more of the collection boxes out in the world. And I think that's happening right now, is supply is completely dry for the boxes. So yeah, just give it some time. It's still, these are new promos. They came out in like early 2020, so it's been less than a year. Give it time. These cards usually just need time. I expect the prices on these cards to look a lot more favorable for you in 5 to 10 years for sure. Now we have Drew, who says the secret rare gold energy cards from Sun and Moon era are easily some of the most beautiful and underrated cards. I don't know if they're super underrated. Every single month, I think I have a couple of people who bring these energy cards up. They're certainly cool as far as energy cards go. You know, collecting energy cards is not a complete meme. The secret rare energy cards are all pretty darn expensive. Each one goes for like 40 to 50 bucks. So I'm not sure if I would say they're super cheap. I've met one single person in my life who had an all secret rare gold deck, and he was running like 12 secret rare gold fire energy cards, so it was a very blingy deck. And yeah, one person in my life who did that. And people talk about these cards a lot, and there's a couple of reasons why I think people think they're going to be super popular. Reason number one is that they're always going to be useful in the trading card game. These secret rare energy cards are going to be playable indefinitely. They're never going to be rotated out because you're always going to need fire energy or psychic energy or whatever else. So that's why people tend to collect these, is because they think, well, some trainers probably going to use them. I beg to differ. I don't know if there's a lot of trainers who are blinging out their decks with 12 secret rare energies. That's a bit too much. Overall, I think this could be a cool set. If you wanted a complete PSA graded secret rare energy set, I think it could certainly look really cool. I don't know if all of the energy cards got a gold version. I don't think all of them did. Don't quote me on that because of course I'm speaking off the top of my head, but I'm pretty sure not all of the energy cards got a secret rare version. So you can't even complete the set even if you wanted to, which is kind of weird. They're kind of cool. They haven't climbed at all in terms of price. They were $40 to $50 at the start of 2020, and after the biggest year of hype, they're still at $40 to $50. So would you say that they're underrated or they're underhyped? Maybe, but at the end of the day, you're collecting secret rare energy. You know, most people don't collect energy when it comes to Pokemon cards, so you're certainly a unique one if you try to go after this set. Next up, we have Aileen, who says, the Zarude V with the Garigari symbol on it. You could only get it if you had the winning popsicle stick from Pokemon Garigari. So yeah, this is an interesting card. If you don't know about it, it's pretty much the Zarude V from Vivid Voltage, but it has a Garigari logo on it. If you don't know what Garigari is, it's just a Japanese popsicle brand or ice cream company, and they had a promotion where if you find a pineapple popsicle with a symbol on it, you would get one of these Zarude promo cards. And it turns out that this Zarude V promo card was super rare, and prices on this card has certainly been climbing. Last I checked, it was around $200, but like I said, don't quote me on these prices. I'm speaking off the top of my head. It's a cool card. I don't have it in my personal collection. And I want to be honest with you, Aileen, I don't like stamps. I hate stamps on Pokemon cards. I think it's sort of like an artificial reason to collect them. I don't think the stamp is enough to make me really like this card. If it had a unique artwork, if it had a unique style, if it had some texture, if it had something to make it a little bit more interesting besides a stamp of a Japanese ice cream company that I've never eaten before, maybe I would be more interested in it. So to me personally, I don't feel like it's a card that I'm gonna spend hundreds of dollars on. It is kind of cool, and it's a kind of an interesting conversation story. Funny enough, I think some Japanese dude got arrested because he tried to use a bunch of counterfeit popsicle sticks to collect some of these promo cards. I think the company got suspicious when he tried to turn in like a dozen or 20 of these popsicle sticks, and they actually arrested the dude. So yeah, some guy in Japan got arrested for counterfeiting popsicles related to Pokemon cards. So there you go. You got a fun story to tell about this Pokemon card if you collect it inside of your collection. Next up, we have T, who says, the Arceus, Dialga, and Palkia Rainbow Tag Team card. I mean, come on, all three legendaries we grew up with on one card. I think you're showing your age there, Mr. T. I did not grow up with the God Trio. I think back when I grew up, Mew was considered to be like the very first Pokemon, and then we came up with a bunch of other, you know, even older or more first Pokemon than even Mew. Overall, I think the Rainbow Rare version is definitely pretty cool. Rainbow Rares are a little bit underappreciated overall. There's a couple of really popular ones like Pikachu VMAX and Charizard GX and stuff like that. But most of the Rainbow Rares don't actually get that much love. And a big reason for them is that outside of rarity, I don't think the Rainbow Rares look that good. A big issue with them is that from a distance, they all look the same. If you have a collection of Rainbow Rares on the wall, from across the room, they all look like the same card. The texturings on most of the Rainbow Rares just aren't distinct enough, so you really can't tell them apart unless you're like really staring at the card. So that's one of the detriment to it. But overall, I'm not gonna say that this card is super underrated. I mean, the God Trio is super popular. Plenty of people collect it as well. It's a very powerful Pokemon inside of the TCG. So it's a good card all around in general. This card is one that might certainly climb up in price. Being the God Trio on a single card is definitely pretty cool. That's going to be a hype card going forward. If you're not interested in collecting Charizard, this is certainly an interesting card to collect to really spice up your collection, that's for sure. Next up and final question, we have Mike, who states, I think the recently released signed trainer cards, the Marnie, Bede, and Hop cards, are underrated. They're practically one of a kind and might never get released in English. I'm actually super confident they will never get released in English, but that's okay. As far as Japanese exclusive cards, how cool are these really? They're kind of cool. I don't have these in my collection because it's not something that I'm interested in, but I know a lot of people are. If I were to collect any of them, it would be the Marnie one for sure, but they're just so weird to me. Weird reason number one is that these are fake characters. What are their signatures, right? It doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. I mean, what's there to get? It's the character's signature, Jake. Super easy. Well, to me, it's a fake person's signature. That makes it kind of weird, right? If it was signed by their voice actor, that's kind of cool. But yeah, a fake signature from a fake character from a video game signing a card, that's not something that I'm super interested in. They have gone up a lot in price. So just because I'm not interested in them doesn't mean other people aren't. Certainly very hot. I'm not sure if I would say they're super underrated. If these cards were full art, I think I would collect them right away. But the fact that they're not full art and they're kind of confusing, I don't like the signatures that much because, like I said, they're sort of fake signatures. I hate saying it like that, but that is what it is. So yeah, those are some of the reasons why I don't collect these cards, but I totally understand why you collect them because they are certainly unique. And I do think I agree with you that they're sort of one of a kind. They're probably never going to do a signature series again. This was probably like a one-time thing. So it would certainly be cool. If you were to collect them, I would say having them inside of the sealed products, they look a lot cooler than by themselves. By themselves, they look kind of weird. Keep them sealed, keep them inside of the sealed products. I think that's the way to display them if you were to have them inside of your collection. All right, everybody, that's the end of today's video. Thank you so much for watching. These were some of the underrated Pokemon cards that the community has been talking about. Was there something on this list that you agree or disagree with? And was there anything missing from this list? If you think there's an underrated Pokemon cards that we definitely need to talk about, then leave me a comment and I will for sure read it. Thank you so much for watching and I will see you guys next time.